Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. It's really finding out what works for you. I am one that can sit down and research for a couple hours at a time and not really have too much of a problem, but I'm also a fairly good multitasker, so it's really about knowing what works for you.
You can, like, those aren't exclusive. You can take like a 5-minute break in the midst of a multiple hour-long research session.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't necessarily go right.
Yeah. 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 You know, get up, walk around, make sure you aren't like dying. Yeah. Okay. So that's about your environment. This is the most challenging part of research, I think. And then staying on target. Tabs are your friend. Now this is kind of Ty's little rant, so if Ty wants to talk about tabs, that would be beneficial, because I'm not actually sure what you mean by this.
Tabs. Raise your hand if you know what a tab is. Good. The overwhelming majority of you. When you pull up an internet browser, be it Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, you can open multiple tabs. And the way this comes in handy when you're researching is you can follow individual trains of thought. So you start on one topic. Let's say it's United States economic aid to Egypt. And you can go down the lists, maybe starting at the State Department and concluding at the Government Accountability Office, and follow entire lines of argumentation that way. And then you can write down and keep track of which tabs you've opened or favorite them in your browser and very thoroughly cover every facet of a topic. So it helps you to stay organized and see your own lines of thought as they develop, which can be very handy.
It also helps you laugh at your rabbit trails that you go on.
Yes.
Okay.
So you shouldn't go on it.
Don't do that if you can avoid it, but sometimes, you know, it can be really interesting information, and like I said, most research is good research, so going on a rabbit trail won't necessarily hurt you. It's just generally not the most effective use of your time. Yeah.
Well, on Google Chrome, you can pin your tabs to your browser, so whenever you open them, you'll always have those tabs.
That can be a good idea depending on how long you're going to take to research a brief, but I think what Ty is talking about is basically as you open a new document, opening it in a new tab so that you can kind of see your train of thought when you're writing a specific brief. Pursuing one topic at a time. How many of you guys are kind of intimidated by the breadth of your topic, by how big it is? I know I am. It's a really, really big topic either way, either resolution you're debating this year. So pursuing one topic at a time really breaks it down into bite-sized pieces. For example, if you're going to research electronic surveillance, sit down and research the FISA court system for one day and just understand that as much as you can. If you're going to research the Middle East, sit down and understand everything that's happened in Iran for the past 100 years. That's one day's worth of research, and that's useful research, but you're not researching the entire topic. You're not reading the entire history of the Middle East. You're not reading the entire history of electronic surveillance law. You're taking one piece and understanding one piece and then how it fits into the context of the whole.
When researching, I've used like think tanks extensively. Would you suggest looking through, finding articles that match your topic, then like basically printing those off and moving on to find more, or should I just like read those and figure out what I need from there before moving on?
It's kind of in the middle. I don't generally print out topics, but what I've found is that it's important to pull a bulk amount of articles and keep researching at some point. It's like when you're just getting started, pull like 7 articles or 7 journal articles on a specific topic and don't necessarily read them all at once. Just get them and then start reading through them. But sometimes you do learn information and then you realize you have to look more into more information based on a particular article you're reading. So it's kind of a happy medium. Did you have something to say, Madeline?
No, yeah. When I'm researching, a lot of times what I do is I pull up an article, I find a quote, I cut the quote into a document, and I don't like format it or anything. I just have the quote in the URL. That way later I can go back and format it, even though I've finished with that article. And I've moved on to it.
I did that a lot. I actually was just working on a brief last week that was basically entirely based on a book, and I was reading the whole book on my computer and cutting all of the evidence, and by the time I was done, I had 40 pages of unformatted evidence, and it was ridiculous to sift through. So don't do it to that extent, but there is definitely an element of, you know, cutting a card, not necessarily taking the time to put it in a brief or format it, that can be really useful when you're trying to keep your brain on the same train of thought that you were on before, because you can get really distracted if you move to formatting. Okay. Take breaks. This is kind of, you guys have already heard that, so I'm going to move on. Okay. Research staples. This is stuff we already went over. Okay. finding exactly what you're looking for. This is specific to Google, so if you're using Bing, you probably shouldn't be. Use Google. It's much easier. Yeah. Okay, so if you want to narrow your search to a certain type of site, like for example, I search lots of, well, yeah, just use, this is really useful if you're looking for a specific type of information. So if you want a government site, you search site, then a colon, and then .gov. So that basically narrows your search to a specific type of site. You can do the same for .edu, .org. If you wanted to search our debate site, you would do site ethosdebate.com. So you can do it for full sites as well as just for a type of site. And my personal favorite research tool is file type PDF. That excludes any page that is not a PDF. Generally, if you have a PDF, you're going to be talking about some sort of article, some more generally credible source to be pulling from, and it's a really useful way to get really good information really quickly. Another really useful one like that is PowerPoint or .ppt. That you generally can't quote from, but it's a good way to get background information on a topic. I haven't done that as much as I think other people have, but it can be really useful, I've heard. Okay. If you want to search a certain site, so a lot of sites have a search feature built in. Have you guys ever tried to search through a particular site? A couple of you guys? A lot of times what homeschool debaters do is they'll go to Heritage and then they'll see what Heritage has to say on a certain topic. But Heritage's search function is actually really bad. They don't generally pull up as many articles as they could, or they're not as specific as you were looking for. So a good way to do that is to go to Google, type in site, and then you type in .brookings.edu or .heritage.com or whatever their website is, and then you type in what you want to search after that. So Google will search within a particular site for a document that you're looking for. That's a really good way to use Google's search function to find a more extensive, basically, overview of what that site actually contains. Ty, do you know what this next one is? The human trafficking thing? Because I don't know how to do that one.
Sorry, we're on the slide?
The bottom, human trafficking site. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, that's where it's another method of searching another site.
Okay, that's another method of searching another site. Okay. Searching an author. This can be really useful if you found an advocate that you really like, you really love the way they write, they agree with things that you're saying, stuff like that. You type into Google author, and then you put their name in the little parentheses that aren't really parentheses, the brackets. That will help you find everything that they've written on a particular topic. Same for a news group. Oh, the sweet symbols are great. So if you are looking for a specific topic and you keep finding blog posts that come up, and you know you can't quote blog posts because who wants to quote a blog? The great way to do that is to use a little minus thing, or it's a little dash. Now, if you do a dash and then a word, Google will exclude search results that include that word from anything that they give you. So a great one that I use is minus blog, or if I have a particular advocate that I'm sick of reading, I'll use minus their name, and that helps narrow your searches down. If you're looking for a synonym, so if you're kind of running out of words that mean the same thing, you can kind of put the little tilde, the little squiggly thing, in front of a word, and it'll return articles that include synonyms for that word. So generally we'll type in, like, a method of research that I use is I'll say X thing, or so, for example, Russia year, we would have said Russia bad, and just to find general evidence on the fact that we don't want Russia to do super well. If you do Russia squiggly line bad, you're going to get more search results, and they're going to be much more useful. Okay, searching a subject. That will help you find broad topic ideas generally. Same kind of idea, and searching a source. Yeah, same sort of thing. I actually don't, what do you mean by source on this one?
It's irrelevant.
Okay, it's irrelevant because Ty Harding deems it so. Okay, computer shortcuts. How many of you guys know computer shortcuts? A couple of you guys, yay, you guys are well above the majority of people your age. Or not your age, the majority of people who are in the working environment right now. Okay. These are all really useful. I'll take a minute to let you guys write them down if you don't know them. They're pretty self-explanatory. They're different on different computers, so it'd be worth taking the time to make sure what your computer actually does. And then for computer nerds, the advanced Google search hacks and tricks. Just Google it, honestly. You'll find it. It's not that hard. Along the same line, I forgot to mention this earlier, advanced search on Google is really great, and there's also like an academic search function that is beautiful. It's harder to find articles you don't need to pay for, but generally the articles are pretty credible. And Microsoft Word shortcuts, same sort of idea. Depending on what your word you have, it may be a little different. And space delete. Okay, yeah, that's to get rid of PDF page breaks. As you copy paste something from a PDF into a different document, I think that's how you do that. Generally what I've done is just copy and paste it into a text fixer or something that gets rid of line breaks. It's much easier because that doesn't always work perfectly. Okay, is it okay if I go to the next slide? You guys can nod. It's okay if I move to the next slide? Yeah? Okay. Fixing strange formatting. This is actually exactly what I was talking about. There's a great website that I use that's, I think, called textfixer.com. And basically what you do is copy and paste an article or a piece of an article that you want unformatted into the top part of the website, and then the website, after you click a button, magically transforms it into blank text. And that is wonderful if you have oddly formatted evidence, if there's line breaks that you want to get rid of, stuff like that. That just saves you a lot of time instead of manually going through and deleting all the extra spaces that articles have in them.